people are saying, I don't want to protest, I don't want to be against the government. If I say something now, the government will come after my business. Many more businesses collapse under government policies than they do because the owners of business protested against the government. Put the number of people who were killed in all the cities or the states during the 11 days or 10 days of bad governance. Nowhere near people who died in our hospitals. Nowhere near the number of people who died on accidents, preventable road accidents. Or even if you can't prevent them totally, at least you can put mechanisms in place to have ambulance. Check the number of people who have died from just preventable attacks in the night. They slipped and fell down in the bedroom, no ambulance, no nothing. Pray that you don't just have one attack, one health panic, nothing, that you will require an oxygen. I know people who have died as a result. There was no oxygen. Now, if you say, let us organize and demand that oxygen must be in our hospitals, we don't want the government to kill us. I said, the lack of oxygen kills more than the demand for oxygen. I'll say that again, this time slowly, so that it will enter. The lack of oxygen in our hospitals kills more than the demand for oxygen. Good evening and welcome to today's episode of Boqer School of Government's 32 Days of Governance. We've done the day 1, day 2, day 3, day 4, and this is the 5th day, and I'm super excited. We're going to be talking about activism today, and our goal is to mint new activists, because if you remove that thing that kills people in activism, many people will become activists. So please share the link and invite others to the platform. As you do that, I want to start off today's conversation not by summarizing our last point, but by playing a video, and then we'll interact with the video. So I'll call up the admin to play the video.
You're also talking across social media, especially X. Anne joins me now to bring us up to speed with what you've been saying. Anne?
All right. Just before we begin what you've been talking about, I mean, in the sporting world, you begin to ask questions. Did they not know they were going for the Olympics after so many years of knowing that you're going to do something? And then you begin to be lackluster about activities surrounding sporting events. I think when people are held accountable for some of these things, maybe they'll begin to know that this is not politics. This is a sporting world, and take things more seriously. But let's begin with some of the trending stories that you've been sending, reactions to trending stories that you've been sending. And we'll begin with this one about thugs carting away Ganduje's corruption trial document. And the Kano state government, if you recall, had said yesterday that during the End Bad Governance protest, that thugs came in and took away all the documents and files on the corruption case against Mr. Ganduje, that's the former governor of Kano State. And these words are coming from the Kano State government, and you've been reacting to that. And this first reaction is coming from Onyalo Kalo. He says, I have become immune to anything that happens in Nigeria's political space.
I think sometimes this joke is...
from swallowing money, from a snake swallowing money, to a monkey doing something, and you're wondering...
What Nigerians are wondering,
what's going on?
Ambushing the court premises is illegal. Nobody should do that. Those are not what protesters, those are hoodlums. And so those hoodlums were brave, smart enough to know where the documents are, sorted the document, found the Ganduje owner and took it away. Yeah. Okay. At Kedno said they should define definitely have copies with lawyers and the judges. Why is this a problem? Unless they have all connived to end the matter this way, Nigeria, my country, nothing will need to happen.
All right, Samuel Leslie says that Nigeria, a country where everybody is deceiving everybody. We are watching. Jeremy
Adetunji says, they are not thugs, they are looters. Treating them as thugs is naive and complicit in criminal activities.
And Design Mat 24 says that they know we're not foolish and that we'll accept things as they are, with nothing ever changing. It's disheartening because we're not serious in this country. How long will the corruption continue to evade justice? corrupt individuals continue to evade justice. How many politicians have actually been arrested and sent to jail?
It's just heartbreaking to see some of this story. And again, I saw a story yesterday about the NNPCL saying that production of PMS will not start August again.
Yeah.
I had to
so
tweet.
we keep moving.
I had to tweet or send a post and said, Twitter there and said, I hope this is not true. I don't want to believe that this is so.
The last time we're just saying, you know what, stop giving us dates because.
Okay, let's go to the next one.
Yes, beautiful. I wanted us to watch this video clip, and I wanted to first get our reactions before we get into today's class. So, what do you think about what we just watched now? Thank you. Let's hear from 2 or 3 more people. Beautiful, thank you. Now I want to ask another question. Can you all see the pinned tweets? I've become immune to anything that happens in Nigeria's political space. Can we all see it? Out of the 7 things we discussed yesterday, what do you think finished in this guy? What do you think he ran out of? How many things did we discuss between the last 2 days? 7. Can we all still remember them? Yes, Jeremiah, go ahead. He ran out of what? Strength. I feel like clapping for you. Let me just clap. He ran out of strength. He ran out of strength. If you have a neighbor, tell her, make your strength no finish. Make your strength no finish. This is a marathon. Make your strength no. If you have to get a glucose, but make your strength no finish. So, the other first 2 people that answered, well, I won't say it's a bad answer, but we will still get in. By the time we get into, maybe to the day 10 of Boqer School of Government, I'll play another video and I'll gauge what that video does to you. If it still does to you what it was doing to you before you joined Boqer School of Government, then we have to radically adjust the classes. All right. Now, what you just saw is not an information. It is an information that is disempowering. 1, you feel so small in the light of the circumstance. Both the news and the way they were presenting it makes it look as if you are so small and helpless, whereas the problem is so big, corruption ingrained, everything is so hopeless, nothing is working. You know, that's what the thing does to an average Nigerian who has not been to Boqer School of Government. But our training here is to see to it that these things, you react differently to them. Now, if you are not actively working on ending corruption, if you're not actively working on improving governance or improving judicial governance, now, this news, as good as it sounds, it's quite dangerous and damaging to the citizens. And I want to give you, what we're doing here is to give you a new lens with which you see things. They might think, oh, they are informing the public. No, they are deforming the public. Because they are not telling you what you can do to change the situation. Now, if I look at this news item and someone who has 7 of these things look at this news item and you are called or you have an assignment towards this kind of finish, towards the justice system, what you're going to be thinking about is what specific laws can we improve? What specific laws can we improve? Can we now talk about electronic backup of court data? What specific laws? How can we forestall this from happening? By the way, it's fair to assume that it did not happen that day, just because politicians are going to take advantage of every opportunity. So if you don't protest, they will take advantage of it. If you protest, they will take advantage of it. That's how life works. But then we are also going to take advantage of things. If they are in court, we should take advantage of it. If they are not in court, we should take advantage of it. If there is recession, we should take advantage of it. If there is economic boom, we should take advantage of it. So, but it seems as if they have learned how to take better advantages than we do. So if you're not actively working on this, and you're not looking at this problem with a view, how can I solve it? What can I do? What specific laws can we target? What set of behavior can we change? How can we mobilize the citizens against this nonsense? How can we stop this? How can we quench the mouth of lions? How can we stop the fiery raging fire? How can we turn to flight the armies of the aliens? If that's not the question you're asking after watching any news item, then it is becoming disempowering. Now, many news platforms, although well-intentioned, end up disempowering these citizens. Because the goal is to educate. And if Nigerian media has been educating Nigerians for the past 50 years, the question you should ask is, what's the outcome? And if you look at the outcome, you will see docility. Now, if you're going to be discussing this issue, maybe as an analyst, you're telling the people, these are specific things, this is the problem, this is the specific step you can take to address it. Although this is a problem, this is how we can overcome it. Although this is a problem, but when you present the problem in a way that it seems wahala no dey finish, then the citizens are in a place where they feel so disempowered. Their politicians are all powerful. And then that will now lead you to things that you're seeing. I have become immune to anything that happens in Nigeria's political space. So let's spend the next 2 or 3 minutes to analyze that comment. And maybe I'm suspecting that it might get a lot of retweets. So I have become immune suggests to us that there was a time he was not immune, which means that there was a time he was active. Now, if we want to analyze this is an in-house conversation. That active that he was, how active was he? Was he actively pursuing outcomes? Was he actively pursuing defined goals? Or was he just randomly commenting on every issue that passes? Was he actively involved in critical goals? There are goals he has set up. I want to achieve these 1, 2, 3 governance outcomes. And by the 7th class, it is expected that we would have designed and picked governance outcomes that we want to achieve before the end of the class. And then after that we can carry into the future. Is this person who has said he's checked out of the political space pursuing an active goal? Or he's just randomly commenting on anything? Tomorrow, snake will swallow billions. He will become a snake expert. And then the next day, monkey will swallow another one. He's talking about monkeys. And another day, Fubara will slap Wiki and he's talking about it. And another day, some woman would say the husband's passport is now so big on marriage. And another time, Nigeria will not get a medal. He's now, is this person actively pursuing? So the question you ask yourself before going to any news platform, before watching any news, is what are the goals I'm pursuing? And how am I internalizing this information? What's the information I'm getting? So what you want to do is to look at your reaction to the information. Do you feel empowered to do more? Or do you feel disempowered? What you are eating now, is it giving you energy or is it draining your strength? And if it is draining your strength, can I flip the coin to make me get energy from this? So instead of this causing depression, it fuels my anger. It fuels my passion. It encourages me to do more. Remember when we said in the 4th class that we are not of they that perish, and we're not the ordinary masses. Now, the ordinary masses, we know what this news will do to them, and that's why they think the way they do. But those of us here, whose responsibility is to shut the mouth of lions. So when we see, oh, they have devoured another one, so this one, so who did the lion eat today, and how can I stop him? If this snake is running around, biting people in the middle belt, how can we cut off the head? So anytime I hear 40 killed in Plateau, 29 killed in Benue, I don't react to it the way an ordinary Nigerian will react. And that's what one of the pairs, binoculars, I want to change. We want the classes to change the lens with which we see things. And so if you see things and you end up complaining like every other person, that the thing is getting bad, corruption is so endemic. If that is what you see, then like Jesus would say that the man was still seeing a man like trees. You remember the man Jesus healed, and he asked him, what do you see? He says, I see a man like trees. He said, come here, your healing never completes. And so if we keep seeing men like trees, if we keep seeing things like this, then it shows that what we are doing is yet to enter. So we will keep double down until it enters. We said that there are 7 critical things that we need to make territorial impact. And one of them is power, and one of them is strength. If this person had strength, by dissipating his energy, commenting on every issue, he's commenting on the Olympics, from the Olympics, no medal, to Ganduje, to this, to the other. And if you turn on the news this night, you will hear more depressing stories. And if you keep dissipating your energy on every then your strength, the little one that you've gathered, it will be dissipated. And that's why we're advocating for targeted advocacy, targeted interest, selective amnesia. Focus on your niche. If you're going to provide governance outcome for education, focus on that. Not that you will be unaware of what is happening. Yeah, you may generally know what is happening around, but not detailed info. All of those things, you don't need them. You don't need to know that the Ganduje's document is born, except if you're working on legislative reform, on judicial reforms, or on ending corruption. And that's a thing that someone can dedicate their lives to. So, if this person had strength, it has finished. He needs to quickly come to Boqer School of Government so that his strength can be renewed. Because he has gassed out. He is just like someone running a marathon. And after 2 minutes, we saw that the person has fainted. What he needs is water. What he needs is glucose. He needs more training before the marathon. His strength has failed. And it's my hope that after the many nights that we are spending together, that we know how to acquire strength and retain it, that we know what dissipates energy, and we know how to channel ourselves so that our energies are not wasted. Today, we are talking about de-risking activism. Again, look around and see if there are 1 more or 2 more people you can invite. And by the way, who else has noticed that the delivery timeline has improved, that the videos and the audios are now being delivered faster, and that that the recordings, that the guys at the back end are working we are now on overdrive, not just to deliver the lectures and prepare the lecture notes, do the graphics, do the video, upload on the YouTube, edit the audio, share on platforms, but that the team here is on an overdrive. And I want to take the time to appreciate my team, the associates helping out, my wife, Esther, my 2 other associates. The team here is quite incredible, and without them, we would not be able to achieve the level of efficiency. But then, if we're putting in all these efforts, it's important that we see that it is transforming lives. So make sure that you're consuming the materials, re-listening to them, re-watch the videos, keep internalizing them until it becomes a core aspect of you, right? And then share it with people who you know that the things will help. And by the mercies of God, we will start producing very short clips. Today we did 1 short clip today, an invitational to help people look at the longer term form video. So by the time we get to the day 10, maybe we would have started producing reels. So again, I encourage us to connect with Boqer School of Government. So if you spend more time on Twitter, go to Twitter right now and follow at Boqer School of Government. If you follow, spend more time on TikTok, we are on TikTok. If you spend more time on Facebook, we are on Facebook. If you're on YouTube, subscribe to our channel and put on the notification at Boqer School of Government. Spread the word, make comments on some of the things we are doing so that way it can get traction. Yeah, traction is, we're putting out content, but it needs to get traction. Not because we want, our platforms are not even monetized. So it's not the money that we're looking for. We're looking for societal transformation. All right. So I want to also invite us to do that. De-risking activism. One, nothing works until people work it. No society can be transformed without the active participation of men. Lock it down. Lock this down. Those who are praying for Nigeria to change, God has answered their prayers and given them wisdom and strength. The mere fact that you are alive, the mere fact that you see a problem, the mere fact that you have intellect, the mere fact that you have vitality suggests to us, in fact, indeed confirms to us that God has answered the prayer of Nigerians. So, oh God, we want you to change this country. Amen. He has answered and given Nigeria Uchendo. He has given us Kingsley. He has given us Jeremiah. He has given us Josh. He has given us Desmond. He answered and gave Frederick, Priscilla, Precious, MSD, Victor, AVM, everybody here, that we are answer to God, to the prayers. We are answers to the prayers. So every developed society is a partnership between man and God. In fact, many times, for you to see how God has richly endowed man, many times the society can even progress without acknowledging God. So nothing works until people work it. Things don't just go from bad to good without a certain amount of effort. And societies don't just turn out better on their own. No society turned out well by accident. No society turned out well on its own. People worked it. So every transformed society is as a result of spirited efforts of individuals who are so persuaded. And that's why we are trying to raise men and women here who are so persuaded. And who spare no cost to birth the kind of society they wish to see. So first, you must have trapped the picture of the society, what you want it to look like in your mind, and it's locked in. And then you know that this thing I lock in my mind, if I don't go to work, it's a pipe dream. Imagine someone wants to become a professor. He's dreaming about it. He has, all his room, he has pictures of professors. He even is following many professors on social media. He's watching YouTube videos of how to become professor, but he doesn't get off to write JAMB, to get admitted, to get his first degree, and to now get his doctorate. That's, if you don't roll up your sleeves, it's just, so that is the same way. Many people tend to say, oh, they complain about good governance. Every functional society is as a result of men and women who are so persuaded and who have put in spirited efforts to birth the kind of society they've envisioned. If you live in the West, or you visited, and some of us live there and have visited, you see, for instance, that their trains are running on time. So if it's a train that will leave by 8 a.m., by 8 a.m. it's leaving. Whether or not it has passengers, it's leaving. And that train did not start leaving by accident. It was not in the culture. When they decided that their trains would start leaving on time, many people were fired. Many people were penalized. Many people were trained. In fact, they had to run trains, empty trains for months, sometimes running at a deficit, to instill that thing in the consciousness of the people that trains leave on time. They have to sanction their engineers, they have to sanction their drivers, they have to put in modernity. So if your train is not leaving on time in your country, it's not God's fault. I'm saying that men have not put in the effort to make sure that trains leave on time. Planned out cities are also not a function of accident. So if you live in a city or in a village, like that city where you live in now, and houses are popping up everywhere, drainage clogged, it was a deliberate effort. People had to be denied building permits. Buildings have to be knocked down. Government officials had to sit up. The community has to sit up. People's house, things happen for that city to be planned out. So if you live in a city that is not planned out, you see that it is not as a result of God not liking your city. It's as a result that man did not put effort. Now, will you require that you will sanction anybody in the city hall that gives approval, put your name to it, so that when we come back 5 years from now and we see that the house is situated where they're not supposed to be situated, we ask, who gave this approval? It was you. We can take you off the pension scheme. We can actually jail you for that. So if you live in a city that is not planned out, or if you ever find a city that is planned out, men did it. And even every work that God does on earth, he does it through men. And this is where Nigerians are failing at, especially Nigerian religious people, community, who tend to pray. And so prayer, we use prayer. Many of the prayers you see in Nigerian churches today, or many of the churches that you see filled out, it's not as a result of the love or genuine love for God. Many times, people are trying to use God to subsidize their laziness. Many times we are trying to outsource responsibility. Because God works through men. Even Jesus, his redemptive work, he has to come physically. Why didn't he send angels? If he wants Nigerian system to improve, why would he not send angels? He sends people. If he wants to take out Goliath, he sends David. Therefore, if he wants to sanitize INEC, he sends men and women. If he wants to stop monkeys from swallowing money, he sends men. If he wants to stop protesters from cutting away court documents, he sends men and women. Even when he wants to deliver his message, he sends prophets, physical prophets and leaders. So we know this to be true. And many times they believe that things will just work out on their own. People don't believe it. It's a coping mechanism devised to stay afloat in a society that have calculated the associated costs of change and have decided not to pay the price for that change in full. So when people look at what it takes to bring about the kind of vision they have, they say, well, things will just work out on its own. Transformation doesn't come without a certain amount of effort. If this is true, it will mean that men and women whom God will use to bring about changes must pay certain prices, must forego certain liberties, must hurt some people, must do some difficult things, must have some difficult conversations, perhaps go through certain difficulties as a result of the change they are working hard to bring about. So this majorly explains two things. One, at the corporate level, it partly explains why some societies are doing well or moving forward, while others seem to be stagnant or moving backwards. Because God works through men. So half of the equation, so anywhere you see a society that is not working, it is that the people in that society are not working. Because anything that you see working, it's working because men are working. But that's only half of the explanation. There's another half. But that's not our emphasis for today, but let me just mention it in passing. The other explanation is also partly due to timing. Because if I say that it's left for instance, men and women who are not in the society not doing their bits, that's half truth. The complete truth is that you do your bits, then time and chance will happen. For instance, the children of Israelites were supposed to stay in the promise in Egypt for 400 years. If someone came in the first 100 years, maybe after the first 100 years, I start saying in year 100, we will leave. He started mobilizing the people, let us leave. Okay, you're supposed to stay for 400 years. That was the divine plan. And so no matter the efforts you make in your 100th year, in the first 100 years, you have to collide with time. You have to. But then, if after 400 years Moses doesn't come, you guys can stay there for 1,000. So there are men, there is time. So today we're talking about men. At the individual level, the cost of success is why many people do not manifest their full potential. They might know that they've been called into entrepreneurship, for instance. They might even have specific products or services or solutions to societal problems, but the effort required to push this vision until it materializes is not just there. The energy required, this is a thing that you are pregnant with, but you have to birth it. So many choose to settle. Now, some people settle at the conception stage. They don't even take in. They settle there. Others settle at different stages of implementation. For instance, the guy that we just saw his tweet, only God knows at what stage his energy, his strength failed. Maybe he was actively pursuing a certain outcome, a certain governance outcome. Maybe he was pursuing something. Let's assume in the best case scenario that he was so focused and dedicated and wants to end corruption. And then one story happened and he says, no, this is it. So people settle at different phases of implementation or even preparation. Some people even stop at the level of preparation. When you see what it takes to win an Olympic gold medal, I say, oh God, let me just start a business. When you see the hours and hours of training and rehearsals and practice and dieting and rigorous regimen to just get an opportunity to participate, some people just say, let's leave it. So people settle at different stages, some as conception stage, others at different levels of implementation or preparation. And there are a subset, though, who are able to did not just envision. They don't just see things, but they see to it that their vision is fully realized. So if they have to regroup, they will regroup. If they suffer a defeat, they will regroup. They can take 1 week off, they can take 1 month off, they can take 1 week off to recharge. So but why won't people just accept change? Since I have a good product, so why won't people just support it? Since I have a good vision for Nigeria, why won't people just support it? Since I'm proposing to do good, why am I receiving this kind of opposition? Since all I want is the best of humanity, I want to do good, I want these people in the community, I want to build this thing. Why am I receiving this kind of opposition? I'm trying to build a health center in the community and the youths are stealing the roads and everything is happening. Even the community is saying that I must buy the land. Even the land thing, the community is fighting and they steal them that I want to build the hospital for. Why? Since I want to build hospital for them, why am I receiving this kind of opposition? Well, let us read the Bible, Acts chapter 26. Acts 26, 15, verse 18. We want to answer the question, why? Why opposition? Why me? Why are things difficult? Since I want to do good, why is it so difficult to do good? So let us hear from us. We want to hear from one of the people that did a lot of good. Acts 26:15. We want to answer the question, why? Why won't we just, since I have good plans, why won't things just go on, happily ever after and let people just go along with me? So this is the story of Paul. Paul was telling this story. He told this story 3 times in the Bible, and in each of the 3 times he did not complete the story. So we don't even have the full picture of what transpired, but at least we have enough details that will guide our actions. So Paul was recounting his conversation, and we will not concern ourselves with the other parts. I'm concerned with verse 15 to 18. So I said, "Who are you, Lord?" And he said, "I am Jesus, whom you are persecuting. But rise and stand on your feet, for I have appeared to you for this purpose, to make you a minister and a witness, both of the things which you have seen and of the things which I will yet reveal to you. I will deliver you from the Jewish people." If you have a Bible, underline, "I will deliver you." I will deliver you from the Jewish people, as well as from the Gentiles, to whom I now send you. Why am I sending you to them? Number 1, to open their eyes. Number 2, in order to turn them from darkness to light. Number 3, to turn them from power of Satan to God. Number 4, that they may receive forgiveness of sins. Number 5, and that they may receive an inheritance among those who are sanctified by faith in me. So see Paul's 5-point agenda. Look at his manifesto. To open blind eyes, to turn people from darkness to light, to turn people from power of Satan to power of God, that people may receive forgiveness and receive an inheritance from God. But yet, Jesus is telling me, I have to deliver you from these very people I'm sending you to. So if you have all these 5 goals, 5-point agenda, and none of them looks like you are trying to defraud them, none of them looks like you're trying to steal, this 5-point agenda, if you bring this to any family, total transformation, any city, total transformation, yet me that is sending you will have to be delivering you from the same people I'm sending you to. So if you're a politician, if you're an entrepreneur, and God has sent you to create employment opportunities for thousands, He has to come and deliver you from your employees. What they will do to you, if God is sending you to go and feed the poor and destitute, He has to deliver you from the poor. Let us look at another example. Luke chapter 4, verse 8. The Spirit of the Lord is upon me, because He has anointed me to preach the gospel to the poor. This is Jesus' manifesto. He has a 6-point agenda. Be counting. He has sent me to heal the brokenhearted, number 2. He has sent me to proclaim liberty to the captives. This is the job of an activist, number 3. And to the recovery of sight to the blind, number 4. To set at liberty those who are oppressed, number 5. And to proclaim the acceptable year of the Lord, number 6. This is the manifesto of an activist. 6-point agenda. To preach the gospel to the poor. To heal the brokenhearted. To proclaim liberty to those who our politicians have held captive. And to offer recovery of sight to the blind. To set at liberty those who are oppressed. To proclaim the acceptable year of the Lord. So look at the 4-point agenda that flows from the principal assignment of Paul. And one would think that the society would readily accept someone who is coming with this kind of manifesto. But Jesus knew a lot about the people He was sending Him to. And He says, I'm promising you that I'm constantly going to be there to deliver you from them. If you look at what we just read in Luke, look at the beautiful 6-point manifesto of Jesus Christ, you would think that even if He was killed by mistake, so someone that is coming to proclaim the acceptable year, recovery of blind eyes, proclaiming setting at liberty those who have, they carried the man and killed. So even if you think that it was a mistake, 2,000 years after, see the same hostility that the man. So I know that you have a beautiful vision for Nigeria, you have a beautiful vision for Africa, you have a beautiful vision, you want to set up this company, you want to employ these people, you want to do, opposition will come. And a lot of us may have become pioneers, industry leaders, political change makers, etc., if not for the associated risks and the pain and the cost of the assignment and the mandates we have. De-risking activism. De-risking activism. And very many people here are concerned. Don't think that people are unconcerned about what is going on. The mere fact that people still react this way, energies, although with fainted energy, shows you that people are interested genuinely in the outcome. Many people, when they see pain, suffering around them, they want to help. They want to help. People are tired of this thing happening in Nigeria. They know that Nigeria is endowed. They know that Africa is endowed. Left for them, they will do something. But you know what? There is the associated pain of taking an action. And that is the pain we want to take out this night. What is the biggest risk factor in activism? What is the biggest risk factor? It is fear. And let's ask ourselves, that fear, is it rational? We are meeting new activists tonight. By the way, we'll end up discussing what is even activism. For Boqer School, our definition, we don't consult. What we look at as activism is a series of coordinated efforts taken to improve or alter a governance outcome. Series of coordinated efforts, usually very carefully coordinated, not random. Very careful. So activism, if you're writing, Activism for us is a series of coordinated efforts taken to improve or alter a governance outcome. You see a school that their roof is dilapidated. The series of efforts or actions you take to bring back the original plan, to improve the outcome for the students, those steps you took is what we are looking at. We are bundling all of them as activism. So we did say that people look around them and they see pain, they see dirt, they see penury. You see people being suffering. You know Nigeria can be better, but you see a lot of, especially for some of us who are visible. You know, when people see us on TV, they assume that we have money. Well, that assumption in itself is not entirely wrong. But sometimes when you see the amount of requests for help we receive, I now pity those who have much more money. Because sometimes in a given week, it seems as if the only thing we're doing is, who do we send to now? Which one seems more genuine? So we see it that people are suffering and it's visible, and people want to help, and people know what to do to help. So sometimes that people are not demanding for better, that people are not insisting that their trains run on time, that people are not insisting that the educational system is cleaned up, that people are not insisting that court documents cannot be cutted. It's not a knowledge thing. Although knowledge is part of it, but today we're looking at why are people not doing it. Number one is fear. So today we want to attack that fear. Is it rational? You know why many people have accepted not to do their parts? Because we have agreed, all of us here, that Nigeria cannot be transformed except we play our parts. We have all agreed. And we have also all agreed that nothing moves until we move it. That's agreed. We have also all agreed that the situation is indeed desirous of, it is in dire need of change. When you look at the education sector, in dire need of help, at the health sector, in dire need of economy, in dire need, infrastructure, in dire need, look at security, in dire need. And some of us are gifted, really. Or some of us can actually equip ourselves to do the assignment. But many times we don't even get off the floor because of the associated risks. So what is the fear? One, fear of being harmed, fear of being killed, fear of being misunderstood, fear of being kidnapped. So let us ask the question, is that fear rational? And my points now, please pay attention for the next 15 minutes and my points will be done, is to say that we have succumbed to what is called advanced mind manipulation. Now, many people have been so trained without their knowing to accept a fallacy, to accept an unexamined maxim that says that oppressive governance is worse than bad governance. What is oppressive governance? Oppressive governance is a series, again, of coordinated efforts by those in principal authorities to shut you down from demanding for better or from acting in ways that can improve governance outcomes for your community. So if you want to say, for instance, protest is one part of activism, it's not all. In fact, protest is one of the least. It's not all. But assuming that protest, which is quite popular, the series of coordinated activities that the government engages in to dissuade you from protesting. So an oppressive government is seen as a government where people say, I no go agree, I no go agree, they shoot them and kill them. That is oppressive government. So oppressive government, they are not delivering good governance. But when people try to deliver or demand for good governance, they go into the oppressive mood to kill people and shut them down. That's, put it one side in one column, oppressive governance. Now, there is one that is called bad governance. Bad governance is, I go to the hospital, no oxygen. I have an emergency, no emergency care services. I will have a meeting, the train is not running on time. The airlines are cancelling without apology. I have a business, government policies, erratic. Those are, and all the other manifestations of bad governance. But you know what? Through advanced mind manipulation, people tend to believe that bad governance is better than oppressive governance. And I'll show you why. There is this thing they say, may Nigeria not happen to you. And that prayer, God will answer it through men. Because may Nigeria not happen to you in the health sector, will be answered through people. But I want you to, many of us here don't know one single person personally. Many of us here, in fact, it might even be all of us, don't know one person personally related to us, or we know personally, one-on-one, that has been killed, kidnapped, tortured on the account of his activism. Keep that. We don't know. Start thinking, do you know your family, your loved one, anybody? On the account of demanding for better, they were killed, kidnapped, maimed. Or Nigeria happened to them on the account of demanding for better. But practically almost all of us here knows one person that is a victim of Nigeria. He needed health care. It failed. I was discussing with a friend maybe less than 1 week ago. So I don't know what she was. She sent me something. And I was now trying to, react to what she sent me. And she now said, I'm very sensitive about this issue because I lost my mother in Nigeria. What happened? Negligence of the doctors. They were saying all of this. My mother just died from something that is totally preventable. I regret it every day of my life. If I had known, if she was here with me in where I am, if I had known, she regrets it. And I said to her, I also lost a loved one, after, of course, sympathizing with her, that I don't have a sister because Nigeria happened to us. My would have been only sister, Nigeria happened to her in the hospital. And if you audit your life, you will see a lot of the things that has happened to you on the account of being in Nigeria. How it has damaged your health. So on a very good day, count how many people were killed during the NSAS protests, if you have the numbers. How many people were killed during the End Bad Governance, if you have the numbers. Those numbers don't come nowhere near the amount of people who die in the hands of terrorists, bandits, and other manifestations of bad governance when it comes to insecurity. Now, oppressive governments will use soldiers' bullets to kill, will use the instruments of the state to terrorize. Bad governance will just, by not doing what they are supposed to do, kidnappers will be running around. And so people now tend to prefer to be killed by kidnappers than to be killed by a soldier's bullet. And so my point is to say that part of what we fear in activism is irrational, because every one of us here have more risk of being kidnapped than being killed by a soldier. In fact, if you calculate from 1960 to now, calculate all the delegiwas of this world, all the Kens and rivers of this world, all the end bad governance of this world, all the answers bad of this world, if you put all of them together, all the number of activists who have been killed, kidnapped, tortured, maimed, suffered all kinds of losses on the account of insisting for better, put their numbers together, and then let us go to healthcare. Go to the teaching hospital in your state and see the number of needless deaths that occur weekly because the doctors are not doing their work, because there's no regulation, because there's no medical supply. If you see the number of people that die as a result of preventable healthcare issues because there was no government, those numbers, you stand a greater chance of people stand a greater chance of dying in the hands of quack doctors, in the hands of our healthcare system, than they do in the hands of DSS, police, military, all of them put together. But you know what? They are not afraid of dying in the hospital. Do you know why? Because the death in the hospital is not televised. This is where advanced mind manipulation starts. So you know of Delegiwa, you know of Ken, you know of Gordon, all of them. You know of answers because it is usually televised. Now, I am telling you, since the answers and bad governance ended, in fact, during that week of end bad governance, 39 people were killed in one night in Benue community. One night. I can tell you, if I look, there's this thing called security watch. If you put your eyes on that security watch and see the number of reported kidnappings daily, you will marvel. Number of reported killings daily. The people prefer, they're not afraid of being kidnapped. They just live with it. So I prefer to be, I prefer to, let's live with bad governance. It's better. It's better than demanding for better. On healthcare alone, if you take the audit of preventable healthcare, preventable deaths that happen as a result of healthcare, compare those numbers with the numbers of people who die as a result of activism, nowhere near. Take insecurity and insecurity, take a subcomponent of insecurity, let's call it kidnapping. You see the number of kidnapped people. How many people have been kidnapped by the government on the account of their demanding for better from 1960 to now? And now look at the number of Nigerians that have been kidnapped in 1 week because there is no government. Because there is no government or because we have an irresponsible government. If you put the number of people who have been kidnapped by government or who have been arrested by government, who have been put in detention by government from 1960 to now, the numbers are nowhere near the number of Nigerians who are kidnapped on a weekly basis. So for an average Nigerian, the chances of being kidnapped by bandits is higher than being kidnapped by the government. But we are not afraid of being kidnapped by bandits because the kidnapped by bandits is not usually televised. So what do we call televised kidnapping? They go after the most eloquent, they go after the bold, they go after those who have name recognition. Even when they would want to shoot NSAS protesters, they do it they want you to know. They are pretending that they don't want you to know. So they do it in a way that there is no constructive evidence, but the people know what happened. Because if a tree falls in the forest and no one hears of it, did it really fall? If they really wanted to shut down NSAS, why don't they wait and start killing those people that don't have names? Why don't they go to people's home and just take them out? Nobody will know what happened. But they want to make sure that the media is aware of what they did. They want to make sure that Twitter is aware of what they did. Without, of course, pinpointing with accurate degree of responsibility who did that. So they keep the evidence level fuzzy, but they want you to know that someone was killed. 19 people killed in Nbad. People will say we will never protest again. Meanwhile, in that week that they are talking about not protesting again, more than 500 people were killed by terrorists, bandits, kidnappers in that same week. But they won't say we will not live again. And the point is this, that if we don't act, it will not be better. And we say we don't want to act because of insecurity or because of risk. But the point is that you stand more risk just by merely being a Nigerian. The only offense you need to commit is by being a Nigerian and living in Nigeria. Every Nigerian is just one healthcare away from bankruptcy. Just one healthcare crisis. Just one. Look at our celebrities with all the monies they've amassed. Every now and then we are crowdfunding to fund their kidney operations. And just one sickness. It doesn't even have to be kidney or liver. Just one sickness away from total bankruptcy. That's for people who have money. Those who can't afford basic. Malaria kills people today much more than the government. Political actors. Many more people. Anti-malaria now is almost 3,000 something. Beyond the reach of many Nigerians. Many Nigerians that know that when you have malaria, you go to the chemist. By the time they do mix drugs for me, by the time you spend 400, 500, you have anti-malaria, so you're good. Today, many people are dying. Look at I saw the numbers. I don't want to be throwing around numbers here, but you look at the numbers of people who have died in 1 month as a result of malaria. People who have died in 1 year as a result of malaria. Nowhere near the amount of people who died in the hands of. So why don't we act? So Nigeria cannot change until we act. That's a given. But we are afraid of acting so that we don't die. But we're saying to you that you stand more chances, the risk of being killed by bad governance, the risk of your business being wiped out by bad governance. Many people are saying, I don't want to protest, I don't want to be against the government. If I say something now, the government will come after my business. Many more businesses collapse under government policies than they do because the owners of business protested against the government. Check the number of business, millions of people you know, thousands of people you know, just in the last 1 year that have lost their employment because of economic topsy-turvies. Did they protest against the government? And so people say, I don't want to talk, I don't want them to take away my land. Now look at the people who have been repossessed of their landed properties in the last 1 year. What did Benue people do? Were they protesting? In fact, Benue did not protest. Bad governance. I was speaking with the leaders in Benue. I said, why didn't you protest? They were saying, I didn't agree with them, but I respect it. In that week that you said you don't want to protest so that you're not killed, 39 people were killed in one. In that same week, more than 60 people were killed in your state. You did not protest. Put the number of people who were killed in all the cities, all the states during the 11 days or 10 days of bad governance. Nowhere near people who died in our hospitals. Nowhere near the number of people who died on accidents, preventable road accidents. Or even if you can't prevent them totally, at least you can put mechanisms in place to have ambulance. Check the number of people who have died from just preventable attacks in the night. They slipped and fell down in the bedroom. No ambulance, no nothing. Look at the number of people just sleeping off the bedroom, and there's no ambulance. Look at it. Look at, just by going to the hospital, no oxygen. Pray that you don't just have one attack, one health panic, nothing, that you will require an oxygen. I know people who have died as a result. There was no oxygen. Oxygen. Now, if you say, let us organize and demand that oxygen must be in our hospitals, they say, we don't want the government to kill us. I said, the lack of oxygen kills more than the demand for oxygen. I'll say that again, this time slowly, so that it will enter. The lack of oxygen in our hospitals kills more than the demand for oxygen. The lack of security kills more than the demand for good governance. Bad governance always wins. It's a terrible thing to be in bad governance. Don't be there. Do all you can to be on the side. In fact, oppressive government is better. Why is it better? They only strike the shepherd and the sheep will scatter. Out of the millions and millions of people or thousands of people who protest, they take out one. Out of all the countless journalists who wrote about the government in any given year, they arrest 3 or 4. How many journalists are operating in Nigeria? How many media platforms? Just sanction 2 media platforms, the others will take notes. Just make an example. Advanced mind manipulation. Make sure that the killing is televised. Make sure you go after the biggest journalists. Make sure you go after the biggest names. Make sure you kill in broad daylight. Make sure that people know that they died as a result of the protest. Just make sure. And that evening, the people who said that they will not protest, I can tell you for free, many of them died that same night because there was no oxygen in the hospital. Many people went to bed hungry and didn't wake up as a result of bad governance. Many people were sleeping in their communities and terrorists attacked them. No responsible government. Many people had accidents that day. They were not protesting. They just want to come down the stairs. They slipped, fell, no emergency care services. Many people could not get a bed space in the hospital that day. If the media were to report all the deaths that happened in Nigeria in one day as a result of bad governance. Now, don't take primary healthcare centers. There are too many to be numbered. Don't take secondary healthcare centers. There are too many to be numbered. Let's just focus on teaching hospitals. Calculate how many teaching hospitals do we have in Nigeria? How many of these deaths were avoided? If this person was in the UK healthcare system, would this have happened? If this person is in US healthcare system, would even Chinese healthcare system, would this have happened? If the answer is no, then let us aggregate that and put them as a number of people who were actually killed by the government. Those are the real numbers. So the fear is irrational. Activism has got a bad rap because the only picture we see of activism is the picture of a raised fist. I no go agree, I no go agree. That's an incomplete picture of activism. Raised fist may be part of activism, but hugs can also be part of activism. If I can achieve a governance objective by visiting a commissioner, buying him a gift, encouraging him in what he's doing, and then calling his attention to an issue that needs to be solved, and I get that solution to my community, I am an activist. There's a primary school in my village, for instance, and the roof is leaking, and I take pictures and videos of the roof, and I go to the Commissioner of Education, and I say, Madam, I stayed there, got an appointment. I said, Madam, this is the primary school in my village. The roof is leaking. And the man says, I don't know about this. Give me a week. And after a week, nothing happens. I go back. And after going there for 6-7 times, eventually the roof was fixed. No shots fired. I am an activist. I can also decide to post that thing on Twitter and then use Twitter to force them to do it. Whichever model. So I'm telling you that activism is not just one formula. We can post on Twitter. We can do it quietly. Sometimes the most impactful outcomes were gotten without noise making. Because there is a combative activism and there is a collaborative activism. Many times we are raised to do the combative. So once we think of an activist, we think of a combative activist. One that is always antagonizing, always fighting, always antagonizing. And so that combative, so you want to retain that element of combat, because sometimes they will not hear what. You go to the streets, you combat, you go to the media, you do that thing. But other times, there's a collaborative activism. The people in government just collaborate by collaborating, by visiting, by writing. So I've said that there is two arms, combative and collaborative. But also, I want us to disaggregate activism, because many times the focus is unfairly at the federal level. So at the federal level, everybody is criticizing Buhari's policies, Tinubu's policies, this, that, every media, national. But those of us here are not doing activism for name recognition. We're not doing activism for mere talking. We don't have time to talk. If we talk, it's because we want to achieve a result. Now, this is my thing. You can go to my Twitter from 2011, no, even from 2007 or thereabouts. But more important, from 2011, you can audit my Twitter feed from 2011 to this moment. Anytime I tweet, there's an outcome I have in mind. I don't just tweet for mere tweeting. Let's comment, this thing is trending. I have an objective. So I want us to also, if you're going to engage with an outcome in mind. Don't just say, oh, they are cutting away, the snake is swallowing money. Now, wow, for this country. No, that's not talk. That's just wasting your data. Target an outcome. So if I'm writing about healthcare, there's a healthcare outcome I want. So now when you have identified the problem you want to solve, because you can't solve all, you now do the power mapping around the problem. Who has the solution to this problem? So sometimes the Tinubu you are talking about is not the one responsible. It might even be the secretary of the local government. It might be the healthcare worker. It might be an executive secretary. So I'm saying that the activism, we are choked up at the center. And when you do your power mapping, you ask yourself, we are doing activism for impact, yes. Does Buhari know who I am? If I write now, will Tinubu hear it? If the answer is no, write to who can hear. That thing you are posting on Twitter and you are feeling like Galadima, they don't hear it, they don't know that you exist. For now, because of the level of power, the level of influence. So sometimes it is not what is said that is the problem, it is who is saying it. When you come and say something, no one retweets, they will leave you alone. If you say it and it gathers thousands of retweets, they will now be interested in you. So sometimes it is not what is said, it's who is saying it. Now, those 7 things we discussed yesterday, very valid. But when you now know where you are on the power, the strength, the influence level, so sometimes you may be able to influence outcome at the primary school level. Go to talk to the principal. Instead of calling Tinubu name, that school in your area, just go and talk to the principal. You can get his or her attention. By talking to the teacher, the principal, or going to the education board of the local government, you can get an outcome faster than tweeting at the president. Now, when you begin to grow in it, so we want to make sure that our activism is localized. Any problem you see around you today, stop looking for the big problems of the economy, of Ganduje stealing, you can't solve it. That's why many people feel powerless, because they go at enemies they can't conquer. Stop fighting to take Jerusalem. You've not killed the lion. You've not killed the bear. You are facing Goliath. You will be killed. Men are in sizes. Problems are in sizes. You need to measure your energy level per time. There are some things you can't just say because you want to say it. There are people today, they can say anything because they have connection with lawyers. Once they hear that they are missing, there's an act. So there's this thing I learned from somebody. Before he says anything, first he travels always with his international passport. He's always with him. He has lawyers on standby. There is a fund for his legal action on standby. Sometimes the people who will bail him are known. His drugs, they know the drugs he's taking. And when you see him criticizing the federal government, there's a system to protect him. And you now see him without a system. You now start running around criticizing the federal government, and your criticism is making impact. Okay, if they kidnap you, they will start doing crowdfunding for you on Twitter. And when we tweet about you for 1 week, another thing will happen in Big Brother Nigeria. We'll all leave you and start trending the trending issue. So at every time you must measure your energy level, your impact, your strength, your influence, and deploy appropriately. So we're de-risking it. So sometimes if you fight too early, if you take on giants too big for you, so maybe you may need to kill the lion first. Maybe you need to kill the bear before you now come out to kill Goliath. And maybe when you kill the lion, don't just go and take a chieftaincy title, I'm now an Ubuago. Many of the wins I've gotten against the government, both at the federal and the state level, they are not published. Because sometimes limelight can attract too much attention to you. A time will come when I will be able to protect myself. But for now that I can't protect myself, I can't let the government know that I'm the one doing what I'm doing. Sometimes you have to do it through people. Sometimes you have to do it and not publicize it. But because you are chasing clout, that many activists want the name, the clout. They want to publish everything, both the ones they did and the ones they did not do. So you will see people just randomly, something happens and they go there to take picture and say that this is happening. And you land yourself. So disaggregate it, go to the local. Attack only problems you can solve. And start from the small ones until your strength increases. You go up again. So go to the local government, go to that school, go to that primary healthcare center. Even the teaching hospital that you're talking about, go to the CMD of the teaching hospital. Go to the head of that department. Know the power structure. This doctor that does this thing, where is the association that can sanction him? Write a petition against him to the association, to the head of their NARD. If it's a teacher, look for. So at every power structure, look for the person that can influence outcome for you. Stop focusing on Tinubu. Remove your eyes there. There are a lot of people focusing on them. And to be truthful, you don't have impact at the national level yet. You will grow to that level, but at today, Tinubu is not seeing your tweets. Ganduje is not, that thing that guy wrote, you think that Ganduje saw it? Not interested. If you channel your energy to the primary school, to the healthcare, to the even fixing of community roads, and not always the problem is with the government, sometimes the problem is with the people. So if you see a street that is unkempt, you can organize the landlords. Let us cluster together. What can we do together by organizing? Can we organize together, contribute to 2,000 and arrange for security to be here? Can we arrange for these refugees to be taken care of? Can we organize this thing, cluster it together, and then beg the guy that is in charge of a local government cleaning services to come and take his trucks and move this thing away at least once in a month? Can we look for the problems you can solve? Many times people go for problems they can't solve. There is no impact. They are just shooting randomly, aimlessly, talking about everything and anything. No impact, year to year. And what's worse, they put themselves at risk doing that. No impact, yet you're putting yourself. Why are you doing this to yourself is a question. You are criticizing the state governor. Nothing. You don't have access to lawyers. You don't have money. You don't have influence. You don't have even name recognition. There are people, when the state government picks them up today, nobody will know, apart from their family members. And their family members is just the immediate family. Their extended family will not even bother. You don't have influence. There are others, when you pick them up, the state will shut down that day. If you don't have the kind of authority Nnamdi Kanu has, don't go saying what he's saying. You think Nnamdi Kanu is the only person in prison because of Biafra? There are more than 1,000 Nigerians in prison today because of Biafra. 1,000 is a grotesque understatement. Is a grotesque understatement, but it's the only one that people are interested. The others, nobody knows. Some of them have been there for 10 years, from Masob days. From the days of Ralph Wazirike, many people, from Masob days, some people are in prison till today. That's foolishness. Did they achieve the Masob or the Biafra? No. Did they have the name recognition to do the kind of thing they're doing? No. So you grow in impact, grow in power, grow in strength, grow in influence, grow in honor, grow in glory. And as those things are growing, then you are now taking sizable enemies. Don't go and be talking about Biafra. You are not Simon Eba. Simon is saying what he's saying. Nothing has happened to him yet. If you say 1/10 of that, you will disappear in the night. At this energy level. And the worst, if you disappear, nobody will know. So, why don't you target that primary health care center where you can make an impact? Target that primary school where you can make an impact. Target that small road where you can make an impact. I want us to be impact-driven as I conclude. That any time you are trying to engage to alter or any governance outcome, remember our definition of activism. We said that activism is a series of coordinated efforts, whether combative or collaborative, aimed at improving or altering a governance outcome. So anytime you are trying to be impact-oriented, be result-oriented, don't just be talking about recession, talking about the economic hardship, talking about can you change it, talking about Tinubu and the refinery, Dangote refinery. Can you make an impact? That thing you are choking your mouth in, can you make an impact there? If you are wasting your energy, go to the one you can make an impact. You can actually influence an outcome for the primary school children in your community. But you don't want. You're talking about Dangote's refinery where you have no say whatsoever, at least for now. We know you are growing, but let us wait for you to grow. If we can do some of these things, activism will be de-risked. If you don't have this, not I know go green. Sometimes the most impactful activists are usually the friends of government. Sometimes you won't even hear their name, you won't know anything, but they are changing outcomes. I've done that a lot. I see something on the television, I just write to the person, okay, this thing you talk, you know jail, you know enter, and I'll give you my reason. And after some time, you will see him saying exactly the same thing I said to him, word to word, and nobody will arrest me. Word for word. I don't know if she's here. There's a friend of mine. So there was a day I tweeted about something and she followed me on Twitter and we chatted. And then I noticed that she's always engaging my posts. So I got interested in her too. And after a while we exchanged numbers via Twitter. And we set up a conversation. And she was complaining about Nigeria, things are not working. And that day I think we stayed for 30 minutes on the phone. I said a lot of things to her, but she picked up one. And there was a day, I can't remember what was happening, and Nigerians in the UK organized a protest to the Nigerian house in the UK. And she went to the protest ground and was discussing with somebody and said the exact thing I said to her on the phone. Word for word. And the person says, wait a minute, this thing you said, say it again. Says, it's that boy, the Chima. That was how I got introduced. That was how we've gotten secured funding for no tweets. No tweets, nothing. But we've done things quietly and we've moved needles. No tweets, just a telephone conversation. There are others that we have to be combative. If we've done everything we can at the small level and they want a fight, then we put up a fight. So we are prepared to fight, but we're also prepared to hug. I was at a government house today. I went to see the chief of staff of a governor. Very quiet, very quiet. You will see me post pictures, you will see tweets, you will see. But the things I want done, sometimes it can take me months. But if I convince one government official that is convinced is more than 10,000 tweets. If you can convince one person in authority to see things the way you see it, and to try to understand what is the difficulty, Mr. Chief, what is the difficulty? And sometimes you see how difficult it is. That it's not that they are not trying, but the problem is difficult. And then you may have even superior arguments. You may have superior ideas. You may have superior strategies, much more than the person in government. But if you see everything as sword and knife, then there's no room for collaboration. I've said all of this to say that Nigeria cannot move forward until Nigerians move it forward. And those Nigerians that will move it forward, we are all here, but we are paralyzed by an irrational fear, and we try to engage things that are too far away from us, that we ignore the tiny wins we can win. If 1,000 Nigerians start impacting outcomes at their local level, today we're talking about local government elections. Many people have to focus on local governments to make sure that the councillors are doing their bits. Stop worrying about Governor Sanwo-Olu. Your councillor has powers. The local government chairperson has powers. It's not even just them. The person at the board of education, the water board, the this board, the that board, the other board, they have powers. Even the chairman of TAUS in your streets, they have powers that you can leverage, that you can deploy. So do the power mapping, the problem you want to solve, who is responsible. Need to find out, and if I found out this is the problem I want to solve, and I found out who is responsible, and now the advice, how do I engage? I don't have his number, how can I get it? Where is even his office? How can I get an appointment? Let me go there, and then they say that his appointment days is Tuesdays and Thursdays. Okay, I can come back next Tuesday. I will sit there, write my name, do it. Sometimes have it. So engage, have result-oriented mindset. If we do this, if all of us here can commit to solving one problem per time or two, but don't carry more than your capacity at any level. Focus on the ones you can solve. We want to act today, from tomorrow, you are doing something, no matter how small. And then if you start by killing antelope, no problems. Eventually, maybe you can even start by killing an ant. You can now kill a snake. You can now kill something. You can now kill a lion. You can now kill a bear. You now kill Goliath openly. You now kill his 4 siblings. You now take Jebusite, the battle of this man we are talking about. David fought 66 battles and won all of them. But see where he started from, killing lions in the bush. And don't think lion is where they started the story from. But nobody wakes up and starts killing lions. Nobody. He must have done something that prepared him for killing the lion. So stop. Nobody goes to the gym like me, myself now. I go to the gym and I want to lift 500 kg. No. I start from my energy level. Or they do press up now and I just say, let me just do 250. I will kill myself trying to do that. I will just do the small one I can do. But if I keep consistent at it, over time I will see that my energy level, that is my encouragement to all of us. Every one of us here must commit, not just to be attending these classes, but commit one problem that you can solve. And it mustn't be in the hand of government. Some of the problems may require you to call for a street meeting. These streets where you live in, call for a meeting. Call for the landlords, let us have a meeting together. Let's sit down. Let's sit down and discuss. These are road where they like this meeting we go do. Okay, let's now go and write to our local government chairperson. This is our market where they like this meeting we go do. This small problem, how can we solve it? And that's what we want to see from this class, that we are meeting about 20 new activists this night who are empowered and have the skill and the right frame of mind to take on a problem, engage it, and solve the problem for himself, for his community, and for Nigeria and for Africa. Thank you so very much. I will now welcome your feedback.
Of course, have this to solve problems in our society. The problem is that we want to start at the top, and that is where we are making mistakes. We should start influencing from the lowest level possible, not look for maybe to gain influence or influence by solving a particular problem. Disability, people will just notice us. I think we should, from what you say, it is best to do, you can tackle big ones. A lot of us are tackling bad government. They don't even notice us. But if we can start changing the things, what are we passionate about? Start changing those things from your street. Charity begins at home, they say. So thank you so much for tonight. I really appreciate it.
Thank you so much. And are you going to commit that you're going to take a problem today, this week, that you're going to dedicate the next 2 months to solve it?
I've committed for some years now.
Oh, beautiful.
I was thinking.
What outcomes are you trying to see within the next 3 months?
Okay, within the next 3 months, we are planning on something because we noticed that many people don't know what energy goes. They haven't even heard of it. So we are planning to go to some schools and to start advocating for it. And this week we know that we have a problem. And who knows how many people will take up a few NTD goals from there. Last year I went to schools for the same project. So we want to, for the next 3 months, we are going to focus on advocating for against some of these goals. And I think that is a good way to start.
Okay, I'm going to offer you free consultancy services. I'm going to give you 15 minutes of my time every week for the next 3 months to work with you to see that your goals are accomplished. So you have my number. Every week we review at the outgone week and review the plans for the upcoming week. If we do that for 3 months, you must have learned a lot and then you can take off from there. So that's my commitment to you. So please, write it down. Victor, you will schedule it. It's going to be a permanent time that we block out on the week. If we're saying Wednesdays by 11:45, then 11:45 to 12 o'clock we have a call, discuss what we're doing, and that I can commit to you since I see that you're doing something. I will support it.
Thank you so much, sir. My partner is also here, Precious Boqer. So we are working on this together. I would like the consultation call to be between 3 of us because I want her to be involved too. Please, I don't know. I would appreciate if you consider it. Thank you so much.
It is considered and it is accepted. So what we will do is you will reach out to me and then I'll have my associates schedule something and then we will do 15 minutes every week for 3 months. And you will see very serious outcomes from what you're doing. That we can do. Thank you so much, Victor. I appreciate you and Precious, your colleague. Now you see, you raised an important point that many times the activists you see are not doing it because they are genuine about it. They want to chase clout. They want to see, get seen. They want to get noticed. And for many, it's about ego. They want to massage their ego. So they are not thinking, how can I solve this problem? They are thinking, how can I profit from the situation? That's the classical political thinking. So when people are protesting, so as you guys were planning the end bad governance, planning it, Gabeji said, this is my moment, this is my moment, this is my moment, this is my moment, this is it. He says, this is the time that this court case will disappear finally. And so when people see people dying, I will not mention names, but there is this man that came to the Middle Belt. So the Middle Belt issue, I think I worked on it for nearly a year or more than, I can't remember when we started. Then there was a particular killing, I think in Mangu. And that particular killing, I've forgotten how many people were killed. And he saw an opportunity. So everybody was talking about the Plateau killings. He now went there, flipped out his camera, start making things, start showing himself, start doing everything, he went viral because it was attention that he was looking for, and anything that is trending, he jumps on it. Immediately attention went away from Plateau killings. Since I followed that man to see, he has not tweeted one thing, not made one video again about it, not visited the Middle Belt again. I see him dancing on social media, doing a lot of, so many people, so when they see people dying, they've killed 44 people here, and they see that the attention of Nigerians are on those 44 people, they now like Gandhi just say, this is my moment. This is my moment. So many of your activists are trying to cash in on trends. That's not what we are doing. Whether what we're doing is trending or not. So how we do it is this. We are not against trends. So if you pick an issue that you're working on, in my case, I'll give an instance, Middle Belt. Whether it's trending or not, I'm focused on it. There are sometimes I write about it, sometimes I write privately. Sometimes I go on Twitter, sometimes I go to boardrooms. Sometimes I visit the community, sometimes I visit the IDPs. Sometimes I choose to release the pictures. In fact, in most of the times, I don't release the pictures for my own safety. Now, all of those things happen. Now, once in a while, a major event will happen in the Middle Belt that Nigerians will pay attention to. And then maybe the media will now start looking for who is an expert on Middle Belt. They can now invite me to a Twitter space, and I'll say one of the 3 things. They can invite me to a TV and I can say 1 or 2 things and leave it there. But after the camera is turned off, we're still focused on the issue. But when you want to know that this person, you're doing it for the clout, is when attention has left that issue. Are you still there? So I'll still be on the Middle Belt till a cycle of attention comes back to it. If it moves away, I'm still on the issue. And we don't do it for clout. We are doing it for impact. We have clear governance goals we want to achieve. And we're checking off. Sometimes we say, this one is too big for us. Okay, let's grow a strength. Let's give it another 6 months to grow. This one is too big. I tried to see the governor. He rejected my meeting. Maybe he doesn't know who I am. Let me give myself another 1 year. I tried to meet with the Attorney General and he refused. Okay, let's write to him instead. That thing I want to say to him in the meeting, I can write it to him as a letter. That thing I want to say to him in a physical meeting, I can write it as a letter and write my recommendation. And they stamp it, you take your own. Sometimes they will not even reply you. But after 4 months, you notice that they are doing what you recommended. So you now ask yourself, what do I want, impact or recognition? Go for impact. Let me thank each and every one of us for attending this class. The thing about activism is that if you start doing it, not only will you achieve results, you will inspire others to do the same. If all of us here commit to solving problems, and we are teaching others how to solve problems, very soon we will raise an army of problem solvers. That's what we're looking towards, and we'll get it. Instead of grumblers, instead of complainers, Nigerians complain. Or you take an action. No. The loudest voices on Twitter, some of them, they don't take action. And I'm going to tell you something today, and do it. I highly recommend it. Unfollow charlatans on Twitter. All those your social media influencers that today they are talking about this, they are always giving a hot take on topical issues. And you follow them for 3 months, you don't see deliberate steps this person is taking to work on one. Unfollow the person. You are just numbers to them. All those Twitter charlatans, hot takers, today they are doing Twitter spaces on this, they are doing the other, unfollow. So follow them, carefully begin to watch them. Anytime they tweet, ask yourself, what is the goal of this tweet? What is the goal? What is the goal? If you follow them for 2 months or 3 months, you will see a pattern. See, this person is not interested in so I followed you for 3 months. I couldn't see any consistency. I don't see anything that you're doing. You are just discussing topical issues to make sure that your Twitter is active. Follow those people. Follow topics instead. If you are committed to education, look for blogs that are writing about education. Look for reporters that are talking about education, whether they are in Nigeria or outside Nigeria. Look for people that, if you're talking about insecurity, look for NGOs working on it. You look for individuals, look for people. Start following the people who can help. Stop following Tinubu, stop following Buhari to see what they are treating. Follow the CMD of your hospital, the hospital near you. In fact, declutter your Twitter so that you're not seeing things you're not supposed to see. Declutter. Focus on the ones that are giving you relevant information, relevant to the task you're about to. So it creates spaces that will let in only the kind of lights you want. Don't bring in all these people that will be discussing. Stop attending every Twitter space. Because the small energy you got from attending this meeting, if you don't take time, they will take it away from you and you will end up as a grumbler, as a complainer. Nigeria has a lot of complainers. Don't be one of them. Anytime you enter a bus and people are complaining, don't listen, block your ears. Focus on the little one you can solve. Stop focusing on they are selling petrol for 1,000. Stop. That thing you are talking will not change jack. Nigerians have been talking about petrol prices. I saw a video recently where people were queuing up in the filling stations to buy for 50 years ago. And they've been talking. Everybody is complaining about the price of petrol. Guess what? They can't even get the price of petrol to change by a factor of 1 naira. That's how powerless we are. Anytime, any subject you cannot impact, move away. Focus on the one you can impact. That one you can't impact yet, leave it. Tell petrol price, I'm coming. You see petrol price, I am coming. One day, one tweet from me will crash petrol price. But for now, wait. If you see Goliath running around, leave it. That one day. Galuje, one day. Be still in one day, we are coming. If you see this, don't worry, we are coming. I'm focused on this primary health care center for now. One day you will hear from us, but not today. If we have that attitude, then we block out all this noise from Nigerians about insecurity. They're complaining, taking no action. Focus on the ones you can solve and begin to solve problems and encourage others to solve problems. Thank you so very much, and please come back tomorrow. We're looking at the topic we're discussing tomorrow is the topic that says, again, you will see that many of the things we are teaching here are at the matters of the heart. So there are 2 levels of training. You can do transformational, and then you can do skill sets training. We're focusing more on the transformational to transform the mind and the heart of the person before we can talk to the hands. So we are talking to the heart and the hands. But now we're doing the first part of the program to talk to the heart, because it's the heart of the person. Like if you really want to solve problems on education, you will find out information. So it's the heart that we are talking to now. Then we occasionally infuse hands into it. But eventually we might break out in 3 or 4 sessions to talk about hands proper, how to do some of the things that we're doing, especially for people who are interested in the kind of work that I'm doing. Tomorrow we're talking about how to get people to support your goals, whether they are public policy goals or not, but focus is on public policy goals. How do I get support from the public policy goal? That's the matter we're discussing. The topic is outward appearance, how to get people to support your vision. Outward appearance, how to get people to support your vision. So I'll be looking forward towards that. So if you're a human being here and you have goals that you need people to support, you are in the office and you want people to support your viewpoint, you are in a boardroom and you want people to agree with your meeting, you are going to the parliament and you want people to support you, you're a local government chairperson, you're a government official and you want your colleagues to support you in the boardroom meetings, you're a businessman and you want your ideas to be supported. That's what we're discussing too. Practical skills and frameworks around manufacturing consent. How do you manufacture consent? How do you get someone to say yes to you? That's what we're discussing tomorrow. And it will impact your private businesses, but most importantly, we're hoping that you can get some people to say yes to your public policy objectives and to all of those your good governance objectives. Thank you so very much. And from me, and from all the team here, we say a very warm evening to you. For those on this side of the hemisphere, and for those on the other side, we are wishing you well, and whatever time it is in your own area. My name is Chima Christian. Africa's morning is at hand.